Hello and welcome back to the Panoptes Soundworks channel. I'm your host, Julian Schuschik, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Oberheim 6. The Oberheim 6 is a 6-voice polyphonic synthesizer, courtesy of Tom Oberheim and Dave Smith. They actually collaborated on this one. It's a modern polyphonic analog synth, which is nice because it means it has modern componentry and theoretically should have some longevity to it. This is going to be a breakdown of the synth. I'm going to show you what it could do, and towards the end I will give you a couple personal thoughts on the unit. So I'm going to start off with an initialized patch. Let's hear what that sounds like. It's just going to be a single oscillator saw wave. Not too shabby. We have the option to morph the saw wave into a pulse wave. Let's hear that. And of course we have pulse width modulation. We also have the option to synchronize the reset of VCO1 to that of VCO2. Let's see what that sounds like. I'm sure you've noticed there, if you're paying attention, that our coarse tune for our oscillators is quantized. If you want to hear a smooth sync, I guess we could apply an LFO. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, not too shabby, not too shabby. Okay, let's go back to where we were. Great. Now, I guess we should mix in oscillator 2 and hear what that sounds like. Oh. Now, if you're paying attention, you'll notice that there's virtually no beating there. The precision in this machine for an analog synthesizer is actually quite astounding. What is nice about that is that you could almost get a digital precision sound out of this unit, but you also have detune options. You have one on your VCO, so you could go like... Alternatively, there's a detune knob, which sort of detunes everything up and down randomly, just a pinch here and there, depending on how much this is dialed in to sort of emulate that imperfection that you would have in older analog units. Now on VCO2, we have 3 variable waveforms. It goes from a triangle wave to a saw and then to a pulse. Let's go ahead and hear just a triangle now. Yeah, not too shabby. And of course let's hear it morph. Now the thing about VCO2, you could activate low frequency mode, which will effectively turn it into a low frequency oscillator. Alternatively, we also have a keyboard button here which will de-link our keyboard from VCO2. Now the frequency will be determined solely by the frequency position here. Sweet. Alright, let's get back to it. Let's get VCO1 back. Actually, now we could move on to the mixer section here. We have a sub-octave on top of our 2 oscillators, which is a square sub. We also have a noise source. Yeah, nice. Now let's go ahead and let's hear the filter. The OB6 has Tom Oberheim's classic SEM filter built into it, which is nice because you can morph between a low pass filter, a notch filter, and a high pass filter, which is pretty unique, at least from my experience. Let's hear what the filter sounds like. Let's add some resonance to that. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's add a little bit more. It's starting to get sizzly already. And now at full. Yeah, not too shabby. Let's go ahead and hear our notch now. Here's our notch. And our high pass. We also have a bandpass option. The cool thing about this configuration here is that you could get a notch that behaves more like a high pass filter by placing it somewhere in between, something like this. Or a notch that behaves a little bit more like a low pass filter if you put it more towards the low pass end. Opens up some unique possibilities, no doubt. Up next we have our envelopes. We have filter and amp envelopes right here. They could both be assigned to velocity if you want to have velocity control over how pronounced these envelopes are. We also have, oh, I skipped one. We have filter tracking. You don't want to forget that. You could have half and full filter tracking. So when you play some keys, your filter will pay attention to where the key is, and it'll reposition itself, trying to have sort of the same balance of harmonic content no matter what key you're playing. So that's nice to emulate some more organic sounding instruments. Okay. Up next we have our clock and the arpeggiator. Defaults to 120 BPM here. We have tap tempo, which we could go ahead and do that. We also have different subdivisions here. We have swing, triplets, and you can make it slow. We also have octave options here. And we have various configurations for the arpeggiation behavior, up, down, random. We also have a sequencer, which is pretty unique, again, at least in my experience. You hit record and you could tap in and it'll show you the number of steps you have. When you hit play, it'll just play through your steps. You could also put in chords, which is pretty cool. Yeah, not too shabby. Up next we have our LFO. So we have our LFO section right here, and we have various destinations we could send it to. We could send it to the oscillators, pulse width of our oscillators, amplitude, filter frequency position, and filter mode. So we could have our LFO modulate our filter mode here. So let's see what that sounds like. You could synchronize the LFO to your tempo. That's a host of fun. Up next we have our modulation matrix, and this is possibly one of the most powerful portions of the synth that really opens up and gives it its unique character, and that would be using FM modulation from VCO2 in conjunction with the filter envelope to go to one of these destinations. Now, you could modulate the shape of your of oscillator 1. You could modulate the frequency. So let's see what that sounds like. Let's get a open sound here and go. When you push the amount of frequency modulation, it tends to go out of tune, but you could always correct it with your detune here. See if we could find the right direction. Yeah, that's sweet. Let's put it in LFO mode so we could hear it go between our... That's modulating the shape. We have pulse width modulation. You could FM the pulse width, the filter frequency, which is also lovely. Filter mode again, and this is something that I've never seen before on any other synth. You could actually modulate between having your bandpass mode and normal mode on your filter. That's something I don't even understand how they do, but it's pretty cool. Absolutely lovely. We have some aftertouch options, so we could assign, let's see what we could do here. Let's do filter frequency for proof of concept. Let's add positive modulation. So now I'll bring the filter down, and when I press into the keys, the filter should modulate accordingly. Yeah, lovely. So you could assign that to various options here as well. Now we have a mod wheel. It's always fun. Yeah, let's see what else we have here. We have wheel range, which we could adjust to something a little bit more normal. We have hold, which will hold our keys. We also have portamento, which is lovely. Various portamento options. If you hold the portamento key, you could go through have it be according to rate or according to time with our portamento slide. Next we have key mode, and this will govern whether how the voice stealing behaves, as well as retriggering. So we could go steal low, high, or last voice. We also have low, high, and last with a little r, which means it's going to reset the envelopes on every press. So we could demonstrate that like so. Let's get... So if it's on something like this, let's get that down, versus something like this. Yeah. Up next we have Unison, which is multi-function. We could either stack voices, or we could play a chord and hit it, and now we could play one key and the chord will play out. Lovely. We could also hold it and press on decrease or increase, and this is how many voices you're stacking. If you go all the way past 6, you get the chord mode. Unison in conjunction with detune is absolutely lovely. Get some fatness. Yeah. So next we have the effects section. Last but not least, I suppose. We've got various effects here. You could have 2 effects playing at a time, and you have various options. You have a bucket brigade delay. We have a standard delay, a digital delay, a chorus, various phaser algorithms, and ring modulation, as well as flangers. And on the B side of the effect, which is the lower one, they give you some extra reverb options. So you could add a hall reverb, or a room, or plate, or a spring. So you've got some nice options here. One of the few parameters that are not accessible on the face of the unit is the distortion, and that is accessible by holding down the effects key, and distortion pops up here, and we could add our distortion. Let's see if I could get a sustained sound, something that's not modulating too much. Let's see. Let's just reset it. With the distortion maxed out and you crank the resonance, you get a nice squelch. Great. So that's about it, guys. That's the OB6. Let me see if I missed anything here. I don't believe I did. Yeah, I think we're all good. So now my personal thoughts on the unit. Obviously, it sounds amazing. The effects are pretty good. One of my complaints, my main complaint, would be that you only have one LFO for all 6 voices, and that is really reducing your possibilities in terms of modulation. You know, it would be nice if you had one LFO frequency, but you could at least have sort of six like variable phased outputs of the same frequency. So when you press another key, all the LFOs start from the same position instead of having one thing with an LFO. Here, I'll demonstrate what I'm talking about here. It would be nice to have one LFO per voice, because then when you play the keys at different timings, it adds a lot more movement. And unfortunately, you can't do that. So it's really constraining you. The way out of this little conundrum and the way you really add movement to the synth sounds is by adding FM to the filter frequency or to VCO1. And that's how you could get these really nice, lush, moving sounds. Let me demonstrate here. Or better yet, I'll just show off a patch. I'm planning to do a video where I show off some of my favorite patches I've made. So you could hear how the small inconsistencies, the beating that occurs from the FMing brings a lot of life to the sound, and it's a sight to behold, or a sound to behold, I should say. Anyway, I'm droning on now. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, drop them below in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.